Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Is there anybody here that does not know anything what the word paleo means, or does anybody not know anything at all about Hebrew at all? Just so I tell where to start from.
I don't know anything at all.
No, nothing at all about it. Okay. Excuse me? Somebody said something, I couldn't hear what they said.
Is that akin to pictographic?
Yes, so this would be a word spelled in Paleo-Hebrew. This word is found in Psalm 119, verse 18, and you could pronounce it. I'll give you the English letter equivalents. You can see some similarity. This is an N, and see this is kind of the N shape. This, when it's drawn in the Hebrew shape, it has kind of a spring sort of look, like a jumping sort of a leg, and the letter means actually to jump out from. This is the letter P. Actually, you know, this green isn't showing up so well.
I've got a couple of pens here that are a little more vivid, it's black and a red.
Oh, the black might be good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this is the N. When I say it's the English letter equivalent, if you're going to speak this word and pronounce it, you just use the English letters in the one-to-one correlation. So this letter is a P, or it's also the F. And because Hebrew, I believe, is the most ancient language on the face of the earth, which we'll get into in a little bit, this is why P and PH, why PH and F have the same sound, is because it comes from this letter, which in Hebrew is called either Pei or Fe. This is the letter Nun. This is the letter Lamed, which is our letter L. This is our letter A, which is Aleph. The letter Vav can be pronounced as either, it's the sixth letter in our language. So it's in the position of our letter F, but it's pronounced as a V, an O, a U, or a W. The F and the V are pretty similar sorts of sounds, but the F sound is actually the Pei or the Fe. So Hebrew became known as Phoenician, which became Greek, which became Latin, which became English. And if you want to know how everything kind of twisted over the years, I have a chart here that I made, which we'll get into a little bit later also, where I tried to very simply and briefly show organizational comparison between English, Greek, and Hebrew, so you can see why these letters shifted around. And being that there's 4 different sounds of that letter, some people call that the letter, right here, they call it the letter Vav, V-A-V. Other people, W-A-W. I spell it with a U-A-W, Wa, simply because there are some folks who study the language that says the V sound didn't happen until later on in the Middle Ages, that the archaic, the ancient way of speaking this was more of a U sound. So the word David would have been pronounced Dawid, or Dawid, or something like that. It's where we get the word dude. So if you were to spell the word, hey dude, you could say, well, that's just saying some young man, some guy, but it's actually Dalet Vav Dalet, and the U sound in between, and it's the same word that means uncle or beloved friend. You call somebody like Uncle John, and he's not even necessarily related to you, but it's a term of endearment. So when you call somebody dude, that's, you know, your good friend, and that kind of evolved through the ages. But by spelling it with the U, it, to me anyway, it accentuates the regard of the U sound, especially in the name Yud-He Vav-He. There are some people who say, well, you pronounced it Yahweh, or Yahvah, or Yahweh, or Yahuwah. But if you give that the U sound, for example, Lou White says the similarity, these are kind of rabbit trails, but I'm trying to bring in a kind of an understanding of the language. If you wrote Yod-He Vav-He, in modern, I'll give that, there'd be a Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. If you put the letter Dalet in between here, Yod Hey Vav Dalet Hey, that's the word Yehuda. So that sounds like a Y sound. That's the H. There's the U. There's the D. And there's the H. So it'll be Yehuda. If you take out the D, you end up with Yod Hey Vav Hey. So you could say, well, say the word Yehuda minus the D, you end up with Yahuwah. So some people think Yahuwah might be the way to pronounce the four-letter tetragrammaton name of the Almighty. So when I say tetragrammaton, that's actually a Greek word. Tetra means four, and gramma, where we get the word grammar or graphic, means something written. So tetragrammaton simply means four writings or four engravings. So the four-letter name is the tetragrammaton, which is Yod Hey Vav Hey. Now, the Jews will not speak this name. They believe it's a matter of regard, of sacredness, of honor, to not mention it. So, if I mention it, I have a different regard, but I don't mean to offend anybody. But I will get into in a couple minutes why I'm mentioning it. I'm just trying to disqualify and say we're studying the language, so we're going to mean these things, and whether anybody chooses to use these words or not is up to you. I'm not trying to establish doctrine of saying this is the right way, this is the wrong way, this is what you're supposed to do, you can't do that. I'm not trying to go there at all. I'm just trying to show you what's in this language to give you an appreciation for it. Anyway, this letter here is our letter T. It's pronounced as a tav or ta or T-A-W or T-A-V, depending on this vav phonetic, which typically is at the end of it. So that's the T. Anyway, so the way you pronounce this word is nephalot. Nephalot. Now, does anybody find that word familiar, like in Nephilim? Okay, you know what the Nephilim were? The fallen ones. So, in this, I'm going to show you with this one word how I do the study of what I've been doing in a part of the answer to the question of will I show you where I came from, which I'll get to in a moment. If you take individual letter meanings of any word in Hebrew, I can look at the letter nun and say, well, it looks kind of like this springy, jumpy thing, and that's exactly what it means. It means to jump out of something. The pei looks like a mouth. It's a mouth. The word pei means mouth. What's a mouth? It's something which opens up. It actually opens and closes, and it's that which speaks and breathes. And everything to do with a mouth is the concept that when you look at this letter, it's not only a mouth. It's what a mouth does and what a mouth represents. We're talking. If you have the festival of Sukkot, well, let me ask you, does anybody know the one commandment for the festival of Sukkot? The festival is from the 15th to the 21st of the 7th month in the fall. It's typically around September, October. Does anybody know the one commandment for that festival?
Every male is supposed to come and be at the festival.
Okay, well, there are three Aliyah festivals. It's Pesach and Shavuot and Sukkot. And it says that the men should present themselves before Yahweh at Jerusalem. And there's some disagreement whether that means try to do it once in your life, or maybe one of each of the three festivals sometime in your life, preferably all three festivals every year. But that's quite an expense to go over there, you know.
And don't come empty-handed.
And don't come empty-handed. But the commandment at the festival is Ak Sameach. Does anybody know what that means? The word Ak. See, we're going on a tangent here already. Here, Aleph, Kaf. The Aleph is the first letter, and the Kaf is the 11th letter. And you can almost see in the middle of the Kaf that's number 11. The Kaf can also be written as this. It's an open hand, and it became our letter K. It was maybe written like this because the two lines, just for the ease of writing in Paleo. So you can see these different forms. But the word Ak, the Aleph is the first letter and means strong, and the K sound is an open hand, so it's like to you. So it's like Ak. This is like I'm giving this to you. And the word Sameach, which is also the root of where we get Simcha, which is rejoice. The commandment for Sukkot is only rejoice. You have to rejoice. That's the commandment. So the problem is when everybody gets together and everybody starts stepping on each other's toes, and it can get quite a mess. But we have to remember we're supposed to rejoice at Sukkot. And why I keep saying this is that the letters line up, some of the letters line up with the festivals. This letter Pei happens to line up with the festival of Sukkot. So if you think, only rejoice, and here's a mouth, it says you could drink alcohol, you can eat whatever you want, you can sing, you can laugh, you can tell jokes, you can talk, you can fellowship, you can do... It's the mouth thing. It's the ingathering harvest, so the festival of Sukkot has to do with the Pei. So now that I've told you that, and I can show you how the pattern is established to qualify what I'm saying. But if you know that, then you think, oh, this has something to do with that festival. The letter Nun happens to line up with the festival of Shavuot. As a matter of fact, two letters line up with Shavuot, the Mem and the Nun, our letter M and our letter N. Now, the letter Mem is actually where we get the word mother, and it means water, and Nun is something that jumps out. So what jumps out of the water? A fish. So Nun is a picture of a fish jumping out of Mem, the water. But Mem is also a womb, something hidden, where you are pregnant for 49 days, and out jumps the 50th day of Pentecost. 49 years, and then the 50th year, Yovel, Jubilee, jumps out. So according to this pattern, Mem and Nun line up with Shavuot, the 50th day. So this Nun is also kind of like this lightning bolt. A Nun can end up being at the beginning of the word or the end of the word or somewhere in between. But when it's at the beginning, if you picture this lightning bolt like throwing down something to start it happening, flipping a switch, turning on a light switch, you're causing an action to make a connection. When Nun is at the end, it generally means somebody is in the action, a noun in the process of doing. So here you have, like Jubilee, like giving birth, an action happening to, and this is like the festival of Sukkot, rejoice. The letter L, this is shaped like a rudder. If you picture a ship,